how about if you're wanting to turn the page, how about keep it to a thank you, Jim? Yeah, it was a weird time back in February of 2021. The Thank You Jim days. What an interesting radio hit from James Cebulski on the eve of the departure of TSN 1042. How ridiculous was that? But anyways, we are bringing up a Thank You Jim in this video. Just not to the livelihood and the well-being of one former Canucks GM, Jim Benning. Today we are talking about the Canucks president of hockey operations, Jim Rutherford, and an interview that he recently did with Patrick Johnson on The Province that goes over the salacious speculation about JT Miller. Now, if you had seen the channel yesterday, we did make a video talking about the ridiculous rumors about JT and just everything that was going on with him and the Canucks. People in the media world, the Cam and Strick podcast, you had the Spit and Chicklets podcast, other people going out there talking about the idea of JT Miller potentially getting traded, JT Miller wanting out, whether or not this entire thing was a part of the reason he took some time off from playing with the Vancouver Canucks. It was a tire fire. Certainly not the kind of thing that you want to see in response to a guy leaving the team for his own personal leave of absence. And we spoke about how in the video, this entire conversation was ridiculous. We pleaded at the beginning saying, hey, don't do that. Don't speculate as to why this guy's leaving or what's been going on. There were rumors popping up as to whether or not there was a rift between Miller and Tocchet and whether or not he actually did want out, etc., etc., etc. So that video was just kind of made to acknowledge everything that's been going on and also give my 2 cents as to how this was a really damaging thing for us to do. Well, Jim Rutherford went out there and spoke out about that exact same thing, and it's all linked in the description on this Stop the Salacious Speculation About JT Miller article from PJ and Jim Rutherford. It's inevitable that people will try to fill the Canucks information vacuum, but be responsible in how you're doing it, the president says. This article was published yesterday, shortly after the JT Miller video that we made, so I didn't want to dive into it right away because it was like, hey, we already made one video about Miller. Do we want to go out there and make yet another one just hours later? I was like, okay, we can wait until tomorrow to talk about this article and maybe get some other information in there as well, because Rick Dhaliwal did have himself a hit on Donnie and Dolly, for example. Let's go out there and read what Jim Rutherford, the Canucks president of hockey operations, says about this situation. Now, the article actually opens up by talking about the generals about everything. It's inevitable that when there is a lack of info about a player's situation or a team's plan to deal with a slump and so on, people will speculate. Admits Jim Rutherford, it's human instinct to fill a vacuum. He's been in hockey too long to know otherwise. Sports inevitably leads to gossip, who is being traded for who might be a coach or a manager that somebody's frustrated with. These things are all fair. People want to chat about their favorite team and their favorite players. But in Miller's case, people need to get real, Rutherford told Post Media on Wednesday morning. Take a look at these comments by Jim Rutherford. Don't start making stuff up on someone in his situation. That's disrespectful, Rutherford said of some of the nonsense that's been circulating online and elsewhere that others have been cooking up, none of which Post Media has been dealing in. People that do this for fun or for a living just go back to making up trade rumors. But to be clear, the Canucks are not trading Miller. No, we are not trading him, Rutherford said flatly. We stand by him. And okay, yeah, I kinda like the sound of that. Just going out there and making up trade rumors. That gives me fuel for my own commentary show here. Honestly, I feel like Rutherford, maybe he's not doing it, but I kinda feel like he might be talking to me directly. People who do this for a living. Yeah, I kinda do this for a living. It's been my living for 4 years now. Very happy that it is, but still, I don't personally think that I was going out there and making up any ridiculous trade ideas or speculation as to what's been going on with JT Miller. I was just kind of regurgitating all the crap that we all saw elsewhere, and I was saying that it's not a good thing to go out there and spew that crap. So for Jim Rutherford to go out there and stand up for his guy, say with certainty that the Vancouver Canucks are standing with JT Miller, that they want to make sure that things are going okay, they want to be behind this guy, they want to support this guy, and they're not going to trade this guy, that's a pretty big dub right there for the Canucks president. And I think Jeff Marek said it best as well. There was a video clip of him on, I think it was Was it the Daily Face-Off podcast? It was one of the shows. It might have been with Irfan Ghaffar, I think. Yeah, Down to Earth, episode 3 or something like that. Episode 4, I forgot. But there was a Jeff Merrick clip going around where he said essentially that if JT Miller never plays a hockey game ever again, if his career is over, as long as he is okay and he had the opportunity to step away and give him the help that he needs, that's what's important. Obviously, Merrick was being hyperbolic there by just using that example to make a point, but I feel like those sentiments reign true here, that yes, pro hockey players get paid big bucks to do pro hockey player things and to be superstars at the sport that they play. But if you're in a position where you're hurt, your arm is broken or you twisted an ACL or whatever, you can't perform. Similarly, if your brain is not working the right way, you can't perform. And I get it, hockey is a tough sport. You gotta be a man's man, a manly man to be able to do what you gotta do, hit guys, score points, and disregard everything else that's emotional, because people don't like having emotional sissies in the game of hockey, right? Like, that's sort of the stereotype at this point. But having these sort of conversations about opening up mental health resources and acknowledging that guys who are not in the right headspace cannot perform in the ways that they should, these are all good things, and Jeff Merrick was using that idea to fuel his point that if JT Miller never plays a hockey game again, as long as he's okay, that's what matters. So it seems like Jim Rutherford is going out there with similar sentiments over here, and that, of course, is very encouraging to see out of the Vancouver Canucks and what is essentially their top guy, right? I mean, Miller is their top point scorer over the past few years. If you combine a whole bunch of numbers, he has been one of the best players in the NHL for producing points. If you want to go over to what Rick Dhaliwal said, he said here that JT has not asked for a trade. So Miller is still very much a part of the Canucks organization, and he wants to be in this organization. If he would have wanted out, then maybe he would have gotten traded a while ago. But that, of course, was just an idea tossed out there by a random podcast that was tweeting some stuff out. So we'll see what the future holds for Vancouver and JT Miller. Who knows where it is that he eventually returns into the lineup and when it is that he does so. It doesn't matter when it happens. It just matters as to whether or not he's okay when it happens. So whether that takes another week or another month or something, who really knows? Who really cares? The Vancouver Canucks have still found ways to win without JT Miller anyway, so it's not necessarily like they're struggling too harshly. Although I will say, having JT Miller in the lineup against Minnesota probably would have helped the Canucks win that game. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Jim Rutherford speaking out once more about JT Miller and calming down the masses, calming down the trade rumors, and Rick Dhaliwal saying the Canucks are not trying to trade this guy away, and he hasn't asked for a trade. What are your thoughts about the JT Miller stuff heading into today's... I was about to say today's action. No, the Canucks don't play today. Who knows? What are your thoughts about everything that's been going on and that's been said? I hope you enjoyed this video. 9, and bye.